Hi everybody, it's Jonathan here from AMES Australia Youth Services.
And I'm here with Spencer, who
Hi,
is the proprietor and owner of Zen Den, which is one of the leading hospitality cafe restaurants in the state of Victoria. And we welcome everyone here today. So thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you for you.
Virtual tour, speaking with Spencer, finding out more interesting information of what it's like to run a successful hospitality business. And any questions you have for Spencer, please feel free to ask today. Before I start, I would like to begin by acknowledging and paying my respects to the Wurundjara people, the traditional custodians of this land, which we're here gathering today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging, and I acknowledge all Aborigine and Torres Strait Islanders here today, also paying my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. So thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in a text, and hopefully we'll be able to answer these questions accordingly. All right, so I'm going to pass over to Spencer, who's just going to do a bit of an introduction of his beautiful shop. All right, thank you.
Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I'm pretty happy to be here and have a chat with you all. It's you know, it'd be nice to have everyone in the actual space and be able to have a chat with you one-on-one, but times being as they are, we'll do with this for now. So at the moment, we've got the camera set up in the front room of our cafe. So just out here, we have the main road and we have the front door. And we've sort of set up recently, since, you know, there's no dine-in and no sit-down with COVID going on. So everything that we've been operating in the cafe has been takeaway for the last 6 months. We had a little window of a few weeks for a minute where we were doing dine-in for a little bit, but since then there's been, you know, a further lockdown and more restrictions, which have been tough, not just for ourselves running the business and our industry, but for everyone in all different circumstances. But, you know, when life gives you lemons, you try and make lemonade. So we've tried to make do, you know, doing takeaway. There's lots of coffee. We obviously can't have people sitting down and enjoying meals. So we've shifted. We've got a lot of take-home meals, things that you can reheat at home in the oven, lasagnas, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this front room that you can see at the moment, we have enough space that we can have people actually walk in. They can order with us at the counter. There's still that interaction. You know, we've got the coffee machine behind me here, which is great. But yeah, at any one time, we can have about 5 customers. Everyone sort of lines up and, you know, we sort of make the magic happen under the circumstances in this room. So we do have a big dining room and a courtyard out that way, and we can normally seat about 70 people. So at the moment, it's very different. It's very different, but, you know, you just have to sort of make do, which we have been. Yeah.
Thanks, Spencer. No worries. So I've got a list of questions that you guys have submitted. So I'll just go through the questions, and again, please feel free to reach out if there's any particular thing you want to talk about, find out about. This is your opportunity, and this is why we're doing this, really, is you guys, you know, this is a perfect opportunity to get exposure, speak to people in the industry who are experts, who have been successful running their own business, particularly in the hospitality industry, especially within the world that we're living in just now with COVID. So please feel free, folks. Make comments, suggestions. Love to hear from you. So the first question I've got for you, young man. Can you please tell us a little bit about your journey and how you came to working in the industry?
Yeah, so, I mean, for myself at the moment, this is a family-run business. So I run the cafe with my father, with my dad, and also my cousin. So, you know, it's very handy, and, you know, Johnny's made some really nice comments, but I have to say that you need a team. You need a team around you to make things like this work. But my journey is, I have kind of, you know, I was born in Australia, but my family did, you know, they were immigrants from Lebanon. They came in 1969. I think my dad's oldest brother, he was the first one to come across from Lebanon, and he actually set up a little burger shop in South Melbourne. It was takeaway burgers. and he hit off. It was quite successful. So he sent word back to Lebanon to the rest of his siblings, my dad included, his father and his mother, my grandparents, and they shifted everyone over. They were, came by sea. I think it was about a month boat trip, my dad tells me. Yeah, and they came in 1969. And from there, it was sort of that doorway where, for our culture, our Lebanese culture and our heritage and where we're from, a lot of our traditions is we're very hospitable. We love to entertain. We love to feed people. We love to, love to have people in our homes. So the hospitality industry is kind of second nature to us. And for myself, especially, I've grown up in it. Since I was a young kid, I've been around cafes and restaurants, and now I'm sort of where I am now because it's been second nature. I've had a lot of support from my family, but yeah, that's kind of how we've gotten to where we are now. It's been a fairly long journey, but it's all been very it's been good. It's been really good.
Thank you. Excellent. All right. Just reflecting on the beginning yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, you come from a family who are new migrants into the country, or relatively new migrants, and they really had to establish new roots in Australia, as obviously myself, as a Scotsman, been here for 11 years. Now, if obviously you were not a part of a family business, what do you think are some of the qualifications or skill sets going into working in the hospitality industry that young people should be aware of?
Yeah. So, there are now plenty of courses that you can do. There are TAFE courses, hospitality courses. You can do, there's chef apprenticeships. But the thing about the hospitality industry is there are other avenues in getting your foot in the door. There's lots of roles where, it's kind of like any industry. There's almost it's a tiered thing. You can come in at the bottom. And when I say the bottom, it's not as if, that's an unimportant role, because to make anything good work and anything that's detailed, you need people at the bottom playing their role. You need people in the middle, people at the top, and everyone in between. So, there's roles such as washing dishes, clearing tables, all these sorts of things. And then slowly, and things that are pivotal for doing those things well is, you've got to have a good work ethic. You've got to really want to work hard. You've got to be able to work well in a team. So, you're not expected to do everything, but if you play your role right, and then everyone around you is playing your role right, then their role correctly, then everything seems to work together in a really, really good way. So, it's like anything. Experience is something where you need someone to give you an opportunity. So if you have the right attitude, and if you have this sense of, it's a very Australian trait, but it's that go-getter, wanting to have a go. And I think when we look to hire people, when we look to bring people in, you obviously want people with experience, but even more important than that is having the attitude that I'll give anything a go. I'll have a crack. I'll have a try, and I'll do my best, and I'll do what you ask me. And if I'm not sure, I'll ask questions. But it's that kind of attitude that you really look for. You can teach someone the skills, but if they don't have the right attitude and they don't have the capacity or the willingness or the attitude to want to learn and take on the things that you're telling them, then it's tough. So you just want to be open-minded and ready to have a go. Yeah, I think that's fine.
There's a couple of things I'm hearing that Spencer, I'm thinking out of what Spencer's saying here, is that when I start from the beginning, you work up through your career in the industry, whether it's washing dishes or whether it's cleaning tables or whether it's making coffees or serving to the public. The other thing that I'm hearing Spencer talk about is that it's a whole team unit. It's working collectively as a team to make sure the operations work successfully and on point. The other thing that I'm hearing from Spencer is that there is qualifications and courses such as barista, business management you can undertake in the particular industry as well. So just want to ask a question, just on reflection. What do you think were some of the challenges your family faced when initially setting up a small business, a particular coffee shop? Just reflecting on, obviously, having this successful business that you got with your family, what do you think are some of the challenges that you came across? when initially setting up the business?
So when you are starting a business from scratch, or if you bought a struggling business, which we did with Zen Den, there's so much about the operations and the systems that you put in place. How can hospitality is when you're going, when you're open, it's manic. It's chaos. There's so many things going on at once, and when you're when you're in it and you're serving food and you're making coffee and you're interacting with people and you're trying to seat people and then clean their tables, you want to make sure that all the systems you have in place really work well, that they're efficient, that you're not doing anything that's a waste of time, and that everything's really ready to go when you need it. So those things can take time to figure out, especially when you're working with a certain space, or with the equipment that you have. Things like a coffee machine that has the right pipes to drain all the water that's being used in the coffee machine. Things like where do you take the dirty dishes? How efficient is the menu? How tasty can the food and the quality of the food be? But how quickly can you serve it? You've got to find these mediums, and a lot of the time it's trial and error. A lot of the time it's you try this, and if that doesn't work, so there's a lot of trial and error. But as Jonathan just said, with hindsight, it's just there's a lot of planning, so that when you're in the moment, when you're in the heat, and you're trying to make service as efficient and as good as possible, these are the things that you have to review. You have to, what worked and what didn't. And I think that applies to most things, not just hospitality or running a cafe. You've always got to reflect and think, how did that go, and how can we do that better? So you just have to really be quite critical of yourself and of the operations and the team and how everything works. But yeah, it's I mean hindsight's great, but yeah, it's just making sure that everything's going to run smoothly, really.
So just now I'm going to look on the tablet that we're conducting the chat, just to have a look at some of your current questions, folks. All right. How much the budget when you opened up the business? On the comment that Spencer just made before, for that last question, before Zen Den, there was an existing coffee shop here, an existing restaurant coffee shop that was underutilized. Nobody was coming in here. It was a service that the local community was not accessing. Now Zen Den is a thriving community hub, which opens from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And when you come here first thing in the morning, there's usually a massive queue of people waiting to come in here and access the various different produce, pick up their coffee. So again, what's happened from a business that was not working well, it's now became a very successful community hub, which is accessed by the whole community.
So you've definitely got to think about, if you are going to buy a business as opposed to starting one from absolute scratch. So, if you're buying an existing cafe, as we did, that sort of wasn't going as well as what it probably could, you might have things like the equipment, which are quite expensive. You have all the equipment that you need in the kitchen. There's things like an oven, there's proper grill, there's lots of fridges as well. You need a cool room as well to store all of your food. You also need to make sure that you have a good coffee machine that works, and has a good, that makes a good product. Because really at the end of the day, you need good coffee and you need good food. So that stuff can be quite expensive, that there are cheap ways around it, but at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to give you an exact sort of financial number or, a figure of what you might need. And starting from scratch, you might have to purchase the property to start, and then all of the equipment that you might need. Plus, then you've got to think about what your what's your weekly what are you your stock, your fruit and vegetables. Where are you getting your coffee from? Paying staff. There's lots of things to take in consideration, but it's you kind of just need to give yourself as much room to kind of set up as you can, and sort of be give yourself enough room that you're probably not going to be making money for a little while to spend, depending on how much you've spent to set it up. So you need to make that viable as well. There's no point in spending heaps of money on the fit out, painting, putting plants up and getting the place pretty if the product isn't good. You know, obviously the aesthetic of a place, the way a place feels, you want it to be comfortable and you want it to be inviting and welcoming. But it's always the product, and it's always the way that you speak to people. So if you're worried about money at the start, yes, it's very important, but it's more important to think about what's your product going to be and how are you going to deliver that to the people. Like, you know, I think that's much more important. Yeah.
Thanks, Spencer.
Yeah.
One of the things that AMES Australia Youth Services can do is we can actually support you around some of the budgeting around potentially looking at business starter funds. AMES has a partnership with Thrive, which supports entrepreneurial young business owners or young entrepreneurial professionals potentially want to set up a new business. So look, please feel free to reach out to AMES Australia Youth Services, and we might be able to actually help you with some of that stuff. I've worked a lot of youth from Iraq, and they've always told me they can't get work because they don't have the experience. What would you advise to support them? Again, imagine a young person ages 17, 18, brand new to the country, eager to obviously get into the hospitality industry. What would you say to them if they came to your shop with no experience? What would you advise them in order to get their foot into this industry? And again, what would be some of the things that you would look for when it comes to potentially employing somebody to come in to your organisation?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. And I do understand that there are barriers such as not having the experience that people might be looking for. There are language barriers. You know, there also might be things like getting to and from the business. But really, what I can say about that is, in hospitality, a lot of the roles when you don't have experience is, you know, the front of house stuff when you're interacting with people, and you know, and English might sort of be a core sort of prerequisite for doing that. Is there are roles in the kitchen that you can start. So you can start learning how to be a kitchen hand, to help the chef, to get them what they need as quickly as they need it, to help wash dishes, to help prepare for different meals. Now, this is something where I get communication is very important, and with a language barrier, it can be very difficult. But as long as you're willing to take feedback, you know, and if you don't understand something, you know, when you're in this role, you always have to ask questions. It's better to ask than to assume that you're not doing something right. You know, ask, is this the way you want it done? How can I do it better next time? You know, ask for that support, because really it needs to be a two-way street. You know, you need to have the people that you're working with and your employer to make sure that they're helping get the best out of yourself in the role that they want you to do. They can feel a lot of pressure to make, you know, to think that you need to have the experience. And this is true, but if someone's going to give you an opportunity, it's kind of like what I said before, you need to just show that you're willing to learn everything that is required in that role. And there are, within the industry, there are people that will give you a go with no experience. There really are. And I think you just, as long as you explain to them that you want to learn and you have a willingness to learn, and especially how they want things done, you know, it's really important. So, yeah.
That's a good one. I think the key learnings that I'm hearing from Spencer here is that if you've got an interest, you can communicate, even if you don't have the experience. But again, with that, depending obviously what you want to be doing, whether you're actually wanting to be front of staff, serving people, or whether you're back staff, doing stuff like the cleaning the dishes or preparation for food, there's an opportunity there for folks. But what the clear message that I'm hearing is communication, showing an interest that you want to learn. One of the key things that I find and I've learned is that research, research, research. Before walking into any business asking for a job, understand what they do before entering into that organisation and asking them for an opportunity within their institute. So research the shop or the hospitality industry first. Be professional in your approach as best as you can. I would suggest don't turn up with heavy metal t-shirts or dirty clothes, well presented. Again, depending on your background, making sure that you can clearly communicate and that you're prepared to learn and show that potential employer that you're ready to learn and you've got an interest in learning, okay?
Sorry, can I just make a quick point, guys? You know, you're saying about businesses giving you an opportunity, and I spoke a lot about working in the kitchen and doing the back of house stuff. By no means am I saying that there's no opportunities for the front of house, but even for people who have experience, and even for people who aren't migrants, a lot of the time you've got to, you know, work your way up. You know, start in those roles where it's a little bit easier to get a grasp on it, and then you make your way up. You make your way up from there. And if you show progress and you show that willingness to communicate and to respond with the employer, what do they want out of the role? If they can see that you're doing that well, the opportunities will come. They will let you try a different role. You know, even for myself, working in a family business, I started out doing smaller roles, smaller things, not as vital, and you slowly work your way up. As your confidence builds and as your employer's confidence in you builds, then the opportunities will come. You know, you've just got to have a really good crack, have a go.
What do you think are the key to Zen Den's success as a leading hospitality business?
So there are probably a few things. You know, the first one is the product. And by the product, I mean food and drinks, mainly coffee. You've got to make sure, and this is something that we really pride ourselves on, is you use good ingredients, you use good produce with your meals, with your food. The menu is well thought out. You sit down and you think, all right, what is the range of meals that you want? You know, you want breakfast and you want lunch and you want things that are a bit different, but you also want bacon and eggs and all this sort of stuff. So you need to make sure that the quality of the food is good. And it doesn't have to be over complicated. People just want good quality product with good flavors, things that taste good. And the same with coffee. You know, good coffee is just taking care in what you do and making sure you're doing it the right way. The other really important thing is one of the keys to hospitality in this industry and being successful is people skills. Interacting with the public. These are your customers. These are people. Think about all the other jobs in the industries. When people stop at a cafe and they're getting their coffee to take with them or to sit down, you're but just a 5-minute interaction in their day. So you need to make that as positive as possible. That is something that I love about what I do and what we do here is we provide people with this opportunity to come in, whether it's getting a takeaway for 5 minutes or you're sitting down for an hour and a half. If you treat people like they're in your home and if you treat them with respect and you get to know them on a daily basis, you get to know their names and you remember their orders, this is the thing that makes people feel welcome. You feel like you're part of a community. But you know, it's being polite. It's making conversation. You know, it's one of the most rewarding aspects. You know, I love food and I love coffee, but the people side of it is really, really important as well. It's very important. It's a combination of many things, but hospitality is about inviting people into your space, making them feel welcome, giving them a good product, making them feel like they've had a nice time. So I think those are the real. You know, you make sure you're getting those things right, and the success will come. People will come.
Thanks, Spencer. One of the things that I've noticed around particular around Zen Den's operation is, again, that welcoming of customers coming into the shop. One thing that Spencer is particularly good at doing is remembering every single person who comes into the shop's name, so that the next time they come back into the shop, he'll be able to address them as Jonathan or whoever it is. Again, that warm, fuzzy feeling, making people welcomed into his shop. Again, as Spencer said, it's like inviting somebody to come into your house. And I think, you know, there was a question that just came up a few minutes ago, which has said, what's the difference between the business that was here before to obviously why is Zen Den a successful business now? And it's probably because of that particular customer interaction, making people feel welcome, serving good high quality produce. Again, customer interaction so that people want to come back into the shop, I think is what you're really saying.
Definitely, yeah. And you know, there's an element of being professional and making sure that you're being presentable and you know you're not and being respectful. But there's also an opportunity to be quite playful, you know, to joke with people, to get to know their kids' names, where do they work, you know, and to remember what's their favorite coffee. You can really build relationships with people. And for me, I have some customers that I might only see for 4 minutes of a day, but I see them Monday to Friday, 5 days of the week, for how many months of the year. So I get to know these people, and it sort of it goes from being just customers where I can earn money to people that you care about. And so at the end of the day, it makes me really you want to make sure you're giving them a good product and you want to look after them. So I think that is probably the key difference. You know, it's you either care about the people that are coming into your business and the product you're giving them, or you're just doing it because it's a job. You know, and I'm not. Yeah, it's there's a level of a factor of caring and you know, putting in that extra effort. I think that's the difference.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Spencer.
Thanks, John.
You know, obviously, we're not just wearing these for the sake of fashion. Obviously, we're in a COVID world that we're living in just now, and we're actively trying to make sure that we're social distancing and protecting ourselves. And one of the questions that has been asked is obviously, how has COVID-19 affected your business? And what adjustments have you made to ensure your cafe success through the hard times? It's been really interesting seeing my friend's business succeed and shine over the difficult months that we're all facing within COVID. So please tell us what is this magic thing that you've got going that's making your business just completely go skyrocketing?
Well, I'll tell you something, Jonathan, it's not magic. It's a lot of the things that I was telling you about just before. At the moment, and especially in Victoria, we're restricted to how far we can travel. We're restricted to a 5-kilometre radius from your place of residence. So really, for us, we've built those relationships with the people. People trust us to be doing the right thing. We're doing all the right health and safety protocols. We make sure there's not too many people in the space at any one point. I think we sanitize our doors and our benches 45 times a day. You know, like it's making sure that people feel safe, that they're looked after, because it's not a joke. We take it very seriously, and we know that hospitality, you know, there's a lot of food handling and coffee. You know, you're touching people's cups that they're going to drink out of. So it's really important that when this first happened, as a company, as a family, we decided, look, if we're going to keep operating, we're going to make sure that our community and that our customers know that we're taking this seriously, that we're going to do everything correctly to make them safe, but also ourselves. But then the next thing is that everyone's been so isolated from their friends, from their family, from general interactions, you know, catching the bus or chatting to someone, you know, at a bar or at a restaurant, or anywhere, sorry. That coming into the cafe has been that really great sense of interaction with people. And, you know, as humans, that's what we all thrive on. We all thrive on those interactions. So for me, a cafe has always been more than coffee and food, but I feel like everyone's realized that it's a place to gather, it's a place to interact, to have a sense of community. You know, there's not much else we can do at the moment, but, you know, it's the same thing. Good quality products, still good food. We can't have people sit down and eating off plates at the moment, but we've now shifted that our whole kitchen team and a lot of our staff we're making meals to take home that you can reheat at home in the oven. It's almost cooked all the way, and you just have to pop it in the oven and cook it. Johnny's going to grab me some of our meals, you know, even our lasagnas. So at the moment, you know, you can take home some nice prosciutto, chicken and vegetables. You can take home a vegetarian cauliflower sort of curry almost. And this is good stuff. This is really good. They're good meals. It's good quality products. You know, and it's trying to adapt so that you're still giving the people the product that you're proud of, but in a different way. And it's being able to adapt and being able to have a go. And like I said, we didn't know if people were going to enjoy this sort of thing, but you have to try. And it has. It's worked really well. No one wants to cook anymore because, you know, they're all sick of cooking at home. So they come and they get stuff from us, which is great. But it's just that caring about the people that are coming in, you know, making sure you're hearing what's going on with them, being honest, you know, and it's been really good for us as a business to still be able to trade and to have the support of the community. But it's been difficult, you know, it's been a lot of hard work. It hasn't been easy. I know it's not been easy for anyone. But as a business, I think doing all those small things right, and firstly, looking after the people. The customers are the main ingredient. Without them, this doesn't work. So looking after them first. And I think people have really appreciated that, and they've shown by, you know, giving us their business. It's been really good.
Thanks, Spencer. I think the takeaways that I'm getting from the comments from Spencer is this: the community trusts Zen Den. They trust Zen Den to do the right thing. He's built up a real strong connection with the community. Again, it's not just a hospitality industry here. What is happening is that it's a community hub, a place for people to come along, pick up what they need to do, pick up the produce they need to buy. And again, it's a sense of somewhere safe to go that they've got a connection with. Okay. The other thing that I'm hearing, particularly that Spencer's saying, is that, you know, especially in COVID, we don't know if it's going to work or not, but at least give it a try. So the produce that he just showed you there, that, you know, these family packs, they didn't know whether that was going to be successful. But again, they've got the connection with the community, and they went, let's try it. We're going to try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it succeeded particularly well now.
Yeah.
You know, what are the benefits to working in the hospitality industry?
The benefits, well, I like people a lot. And in my job, I get to meet so many different people. I get to meet doctors, lawyers, you know, I get to meet, you know, so many different people, pet groomers, students. I get kids on their way after school coming past, they get a milkshake, and I'm hearing their story. So for me, on a personal note, the benefits of hospitality is people I get to see on a day-to-day basis. In hospitality, if it's something where you're passing through and, you know, it's something to make money, is what I would say is still take it seriously if you get the opportunity, because there are things like teamwork, like playing your role, like, you know, just really paying attention to the details, you know, because if you're getting all the little details right, then the whole sum at the end of it is going to work out to be really good. And I'm sure that applies to almost any industry and any job. But in particular in hospitality, it's that sense of liveliness, you know. And I don't know if you agree, or in your culture or where you're from, but if you were to sit down with someone and share a meal and share a coffee, that's one of the best things I think as humans that we can do together. That's when you have the fondest memories with family, with friends, with strangers. Sometimes people come into the cafe and they're ordering a coffee one after the other, and they'll just start chatting because maybe they drink the same coffee. To see the connection of two strangers like that in the space purely because of coffee, because of food and coffee, I love that. Yeah, I really do.
What should you do if the business doesn't grow in 5 months? That's a good one.
It is a really good one. Yeah, and probably, you know, there can be a lot of factors. A lot of the time, especially with a cafe or with a restaurant, location can be a really, really big problem, or it can be a really big positive as well. You know, people talk about foot traffic. How many people are walking past? How many people can see what's going on? For us in particular, we're on a main busy road. We're not up in the village of shops or supermarkets. So you don't have that many people sort of passing by all the time. I mean, during COVID, there's a lot of people out walking and walking the dogs. So that's been really good for us as well. But, you know, location is a big one. But as I said, it's like anything. What have you been doing for 5 months? What's everything that you've tried? And what else could you try? Is it the menu? Is it the food? Is that not working? Is it the layout of your tables and chairs? Is it the prices? You know, is it the staff that you have employed? Is it the training systems that you have in place? Is, you know, have you got people walking into the cafe and the first person says, "What can I get you?" As opposed to, "Hey, how you going? What do you feel like today?" Small things like this, they all add up, I think, to having success. But there are some things that are going to be out of your control, and that can be unfortunate. You've got to think everything. What can I control? What can I change? What can I do differently? And if it's not working, then why not try something else? It might work. It's always trial and error. And if something's working, how can you do more of that? You know, focus on the positives, but also make sure you're trying to change the things that don't work that you control.
You can just kind of describe some of the different roles
Yep.
that the staff have. I know that, again, you use words like front of house staff, back staff. Can you maybe break down some of the different roles?
So within the hospitality and within a cafe or a restaurant, there are two main sections, but there's kind of three in general. So when we say front of house, we mean the people that are working on the bar and on the cafe floor, people that are serving the tables, people who are greeting people, making coffee. We have a bar here where we make lots of sandwiches and we serve a lot of desserts as well. So if you're waiting tables, you know, handing out menus, back of house is all the people, the dish hands, the kitchen hands. So people who are doing the dishes, people who are preparing all of the ingredients for the meals. And then you have your cooks and your chefs, and you'll have a head chef. So that's the back of house. And then you have, you know, people that look after the operations as well. You know, the people that are making sure all the ordering's being done. How is the rostering being done? And, you know, all these sorts of things, you know, the three sort of roles all add up to the whole team, really. And it's good not to think of them as separate teams, because at the end of the day, you're all working together. But there are different roles, definitely. And, you know, front of house is very much interacting with the customers, with the people, you know, and back of house is making sure that the food is quality and efficient and that it's run really well. And then operations is making sure that everything's ready, so that within the hours that you open, whether it be 7 a.m. in the morning like we do until 4 p.m. in the afternoon, you're making sure that within that time, everything's ready to go. Whatever you might need, everything's got to be ready. So, yeah, it's kind of the different roles.
If I had to come to you for a job, what are some of the things that you would look at on a resume? And what are some of the key things that you would be observing when interviewing that particular applicant? Thanks, Vincent.
So if I'm looking at a resume for someone, it's always going to be a positive if they've worked in a similar business, if they've worked in hospitality before. That's not to say that everyone I've ever hired has had experience, but you know, you're looking for, you know, maybe someone that's done a short course in hospitality or making coffee or in the kitchen. You're maybe looking for someone that has done a role before, whether it be in hospitality or not, where they're interacting with people. If you're looking for front of house staff, do they have the people skills? And also something is, if they've worked lots of jobs in, you know, but only for a short amount of time, then you kind of think, well, you know, are they dedicated to, you know, putting in the work and staying somewhere for a long time? The other thing is, when I interview people, and I've said this to you just earlier, is confidence. eye contact. You know, and if I've asked something that someone's not sure, they ask me questions. They're inquisitive about, you know, they're asking questions about how the space works. But also what Jonathan said before is they've researched. They know a little bit about us. They've maybe looked at our menu online. They've maybe looked at our social media. They might have come in a few days beforehand and sat and had a coffee. You know, they're interested in what we're doing. But a lot of it is that confidence, And then the other thing is being flexible, you know, showing that you're going to be a dedicated hard worker, you know, saying that, you know, you're willing to try different things, that you'll be here on time, that, you know, you're committed to learning everything in the role. And a lot of this is having that confidence to reassure, you know, your prospective, you know, someone that's going to employ you, that you're going to be doing a good job, you know, and you don't have to know everything before you get in there, but you have to show that you're willing to learn. You're willing to learn. I'm always happy to hire people that seem like they're going to have a real go, and they're going to have a really, you know, they're going to be positive in what they're going to try and do. You know, it's, yeah, but also sometimes it's, you know, you just get a gut feeling on people. You know, you do. You know, I can tell that you're a good person, you're a nice person, and you're good with people, or that you're a hard worker. And, you know, if someone doesn't look at me the whole interview, and, you know, they're kind of looking around, or, you know, they're not too sure, I mean, that's kind of, you see that they're not focused. You know, and I know that an interview can be very nerve-wracking. You know, it can be very, it can be quite scary. And, you know, I get nervous before I interview someone. But you've just got to, you know, be yourself, and just be confident that, you know, you think you can have a go.
Now, can you please tell me, Spencer, what are some of the career progression professional in the hospitality career?
There's definitely room to move up and to get promotions and to progress your career in this industry, definitely. But as I said, you know, it's starting from the bottom, you know, a lot of the time. It's getting the experience you need, and in a lot of ways is all different aspects of the business. Back of house in the kitchen, front of house out the front, whether it be waiting tables, preparing drinks, preparing sandwiches, clearing tables, taking orders, making coffee. And the more that you know how to do, the more that you might move up to almost a management level. You know, you can oversee and make sure everyone's playing their role while still, you know, keeping everything in line. It's really learning every sort of facet of the business, everything that goes on, what makes it work. And if you're across all the little things that you know what helps to make things work, then there's room to become a manager. And from there, you know, or if you have an interesting coffee and you learn how to make coffee, and then you make a really good cup of coffee, you can work with a roasting company and figure out how do they roast coffee. You can go and work, and then you can, you know, probably, you know, travel overseas, and where do they get their beans from, and the roasting process. Or there's so many different things. You know, you can be more on the management side. You know, you can sort of make sure that all the numbers are adding up, so that you're not spending too much money, and that you're making enough, and there's enough room in between. How much does a dish cost to make once you pay the people making it, once you buy the ingredients, and how much does it cost? You know, there's so many different things that you can really, you know, if you put it all under your belt, I like to see it as earning badges. You know, the more badges you earn, then the higher you can go.
Yeah.
But you've got to start somewhere. You know, like you've got to start somewhere, like in anything.
On that note, when it comes to preparing for interviews or writing a resume, again, techniques on how to get your foot in the door, we're here. AMES Australia Youth Services team are here to help you, to support you guys, to get your foot in the door, to get you into the industry, the jobs that you actually want to go in. So please, after this, reach out to AMES Australia Youth Services. We're here to support you guys, because fundamentally, you guys are the future leaders of this country, and we want to support you and empower you to achieve these things, all right? So please reach out. We're here to help. A lot of youth tell me that they want to work in hospitality, and I tell them that the core skills learned are needed in all industry sectors. Do you agree?
I agree. That's a really good comment. And I've worked with people before owning this cafe, before being a manager, who have said, oh, I want to leave hospitality and get a real job. Hospitality is a real job, and the skills that you will learn in any role, back, front of house, kitchen, coffee, juices, tables, cleaning, all of these skills that you learn will help you in anything you do, anything that you do. The people skills, communication, working in a team, there's so many different things that you will learn, whether it just be about people in general. That's what hospitality is. You get to meet so many different people, their ways of thinking, how they work, whether it's in the team that you work with in the business, you'll learn a lot from your team. But it's all about being open-minded. If you have the attitude that I don't want to work in this industry, I don't want to work in this business, what am I going to learn? It's a waste of time. Well, of course you're not going to learn anything. But if you have the attitude of, all right, I've got to play this role and I'm going to do this job, what's the most I can get out of it? If that's your attitude in anything, you're going to get as much as you want out of it. Always look for the skills that you can get, and where can you transferable. Where can I then transfer that skill to something else? You know, I used to make cartoons, and I used to study animation and do all this sort of stuff. But I also had worked for many years in hospitality before I did that. And I was able to bring the skills of working in a team to then working in the team whilst I was animating or coming up with stories and different films. And that's because I'd had the experience working with other people, listening to their ideas, listening to their feedback, what they liked, what they didn't like. So if anyone tells you that, you know, hospitality is a waste of time or they don't want to do it, it's probably their attitude that is wrong and not the job.
Best thing about business is spirituality or materialism? That's a nice one. I like that one.
It's a good, yeah, very thoughtful question. I think that question about spirituality or materialism, it ties into respecting the people that the business is about, and that's the customers. You know, doesn't matter if you've got a fancy shop and a really fancy Ferrari coffee machine, unless you care about the coffee that you're making and the person you're making it for. Doesn't matter what it looks like or what it is. It's more about you're right, the heart and soul that you bring to what you're doing. I think in anything.
I want to actually pay a particular thank you to Spencer and his family and the staff of Zen Den for warmly inviting us in here today to have this beautiful conversation. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I'm sure that the young viewers here are taking a lot in to digest and think about and learn. I know that some of the comments I'm hearing from yourself, it's made me think a lot about people skills and how within a coffee shop we've developed community. And so thank you very much. I also want to pay a particular thank you to the AMES Australia Youth Services staff. They've done a fantastic job. These guys are here for you. All the staff within the AMES Australia Youth Services team, we're here to support you to get into the right job, to support you with your aspirations, find your destiny living here in Australia. So please contact us. If we can support you and enrich your life to find that job, get you ready to find that job. We run a series of education programs, so please reach out here, guys. Reach out to AMES Australia Youth Services because you guys are our future leaders within this country.
And I'd like to say thank you to Jonathan and to AMES and to all of you guys as well. And I really, you know, Jonathan is a friend of mine and I see how hard he works. And it's such a great service that you've got with AMES, guys. So I want to repeat that message from Jonathan is if you can get help from these guys, if you have any questions from the youth services, from AMES, take it, you know, take everything, take every, you know, every opportunity that you can. And he's right, you know, he's right. You guys are the future. And I really wish you the best. I wish you the best. And I hope you get out and have a crack. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Spencer. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Lovely to have you here, part of our first virtual tour. There will be a series of other virtual tours that will be running towards the end of the year. So please stay tuned to that. Again, please stay safe, everybody. AMES Australia Youth Services is actually really missing speaking to you guys face to face. Stay safe, look after yourself, look after your family, look after your community, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Thank
All
you,
the
guys.
best.